Hello everyone, and welcome to the next session for the Dev Days of Summer 2024. I hope the last couple of weeks or the week and a half has been really fulfilling. Hope you've been learning heaps and getting to know a lot about the Idera suite of products, and also getting a lot of food for thought and ideas for where you might take your platforms and continue innovation on your end. Welcome to the next session. This is going to be run by myself, Edgar Kautzner, and we're going to be talking about maximizing customer value with embedded analytics and Yellowfin. So I hope you find this session really valuable. I'm going to be presenting for about 40 minutes or so, and then there'll be about 20 minutes for Q&A. So feel free to write those questions down and ask them at the end. All right, a little bit about myself. As you can tell from my accent, I'm based down under in Melbourne, Australia. My name's Edgar Kautzner, and I'm the Managing Director of Minera Analytics. We are a Yellowfin partner, a very long-standing Yellowfin partner, and have a team of consultants based across North America, Australia, and Asia. We specialize very heavily in Yellowfin, and I would say we have well over 50 years combined experience, and hoping to provide as much knowledge to you as possible about Yellowfin and embedded analytics. So what are we going to be covering today? We're going to talk about business intelligence and analytics and embedded BI. Some of you might not be super familiar with embedded analytics or analytics more broadly, so we'll talk about that at a high level. And we'll talk about how a product like Yellowfin, an analytics product, can be embedded within your platform to drive and build customer value, as well as create additional revenue streams for your product. We're going to talk about the age-old question as well of build versus buy. A lot of customers come to us having built some analytics content manually, and they often find that unsustainable. So I'm going to talk about some of those challenges so hopefully you don't need to go down that path. You can learn from some of the experiences from our customers. We're going to then deep dive into Yellowfin for developers. So we're going to talk about the developer toolkit. We're going to talk about some of the APIs and multi-tenancy and some other really critical and important features that will help you get Yellowfin tightly embedded into your product. White labeling is another thing we're going to talk about. And then after that, we're going to go into a hands-on demo. So this is going to first of all show what an embedded analytics platform might look like, but then we're going to go ahead and build out a platform using Yellowfin and embed different types of analytics, and I'm going to take you through the process of that. So we'll look at the REST API, we're going to look at the JavaScript API, and do a whole lot of technical stuff. So stay tuned for that. I hope you really enjoy that. After that, we're going to just talk about a couple of considerations for embedded BI that you may not have considered, and then we'll talk a little bit about Minera and do some Q&A. So hang tight, let's get started. So what is business intelligence? Business intelligence or analytics is really about data-driven decision making. It's about helping business stakeholders make informed decisions and monitor business performance using data. And from an enterprise perspective, of course, a client or a customer might have a whole lot of different systems: a CRM system, a finance system, an operational system, and their business intelligence and analytics might be about unifying that data and then gaining value from understanding how the business is performing, what the opportunities to improve the business might be, and really supporting those data-driven decisions. And that could be at an operational level, it could be at a managerial level, and it could be at a more strategic level. Analytics is also about really gaining a competitive advantage. So through knowing your business and knowing the environment that the business operates in, you're going to make informed decisions and gain a competitive advantage. And there's quite a lot of research to support that as well. BI will also provide you with a whole lot more context and really ability to explore the data to gain insights in ways that you may not with other types of traditional methods. Certainly in Yellowfin, there are various features that allow you to automate some of the analysis as well, which is really cool. But business intelligence is all about supporting data-driven decision making. Now, when that comes to an embedded use case, what we're talking about here is providing an analytical experience to your customers through your platform so that they can make informed decisions based upon the data that's collected. We've worked with a huge amount of different platforms to help them get analytics implemented within the platform. And really, this is all about, so if we're talking about a CRM system, for example, helping the platform's customers surface the data that's collected in the CRM and get business value from the data. And one of the really great things about that is it means that you start engaging at a different level with the customers. Whereas an operational system, you might be generally used by operational staff and frontline staff. When you start getting into analytics and data-driven decision-making, it actually pushes the value in the platform up the hierarchy. So you end up getting a lot more leverage with more senior people. So as I said, it's all about creating value for your customers, providing visibility into their data that they're collecting through your platform, and also providing not only dashboards that are pre-built, but also a self-service BI experience that will allow them to create their own content as well. And when customers start creating content in your platform and investing a lot of time in creating analytics content in your platform, that's when you really get a lot of stickiness, because especially senior people are getting value from all of that analytics content that's been built. So there's a huge amount of customer value. Now, through all of that, this drives your revenue as well. There are various ways that you can commercialize and monetize the data in your platform, but certainly getting subscription revenue from the analytics module. Now, that could be just an additional, or being able to charge more for your platform, or it could be an optional extra where clients subscribe to an analytics piece, and there may be multiple tiers. You could have a tier that involves users just creating or consuming dashboards that you've created, but there could be other tiers where maybe they get access to more advanced content, or maybe they get access to a self-service BI experience. So all of those can be monetized and drive revenue or new revenue streams for your organization. The other one is around services revenue. So allowing your customers to engage your staff to create analytics content on their behalf. And this is a very significant revenue stream. One of the great things about what I'm going to talk to you about today with Yellowfin is that doesn't involve developers. That involves analysts or consultants who may, for example, be involved in configuration of your product, who would go ahead and build out that content. And so you're not going to be clogging up your development pipeline, your development throughput with creating charts one by one. This is something that can be done in a different part of the organization. And I mentioned customer stickiness and customer loyalty. All of this really, the analytics offering will certainly increase the stickiness of your customers and engagement that they have with your platform over and above the workflow or the operational benefits of it. This is just a simple example of an embedded BI use case. I'm going to actually show you this very system in, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so. just to show you what that will look like. But you can see here we have the application header, and then we have a number of different analytics artifacts that have been embedded within the platform. We're going to look at how to actually do this as part of this session. So when people come and talk to us about some of the challenges they're having, these are some of the things that often come up. Some of our clients, before engaging with us, went down a build path as opposed to a buy path, meaning they initially thought, okay, we're going to go ahead and custom code a whole lot of JavaScript charts using a library like D3 or high charts or something like that, and go ahead and build out that content because it'll save in not needing to incorporate another platform. But one of the things that you realize pretty quickly is if you are successful in actually building content that is relevant, when it comes down to it, your clients are going to want it a little bit different because everyone's business is a bit different. The way they use your platform is a bit different. So you're going to get a whole lot of requests for different versions of those charts, and that's going to clog up your development pipeline. Your developers are going to be busy creating new custom charts one by one as opposed to building out the core platform. So the analytics ends up completely dependent on the internal developers, and there's certainly a huge opportunity cost in that. Your developers, instead of building out the great platform that you are known in the market for, you end up with constrained resources because they're busy building out analytics content. So an alternative to that, and what a lot of customers come to us with the challenge I've just spoken about, is to go ahead and incorporate a product into your platform like Yellowfin. Certainly the time to value is shorter because you can get it embedded quickly and then build out the content really quickly. And most importantly, the content doesn't need to be delivered by developers. It can be delivered by consultants. So really cost effective. The other thing is it's scalable and flexible. So Yellowfin, as for example, can horizontally scale, can vertically scale. As your customer usage increases, you can go ahead and do that. So certainly it will scale and grow as your usage evolves over time. And more usage means more revenue, of course, for you, and more stickiness. So what's Yellowfin? So Yellowfin is one of the products in the Idera family, and it was actually built in my hometown of Melbourne, and maybe about 3 years ago became part of the Idera family, and is an industry-leading BI platform. It has been recognized in Gartner, and really, Yellowfin's been built from the ground up as an embedded solution. So it allows you to embed analytics content, so presentations, dashboards, reports, and report builder user experience, self-service BI, into your application, and also white label the experience. So the fact that you're using Yellowfin should be transparent to the end user. And Yellowfin is really a very, very flexible data visualization tool. And we're going to focus today on the extensibility of Yellowfin and how it can really help developers deliver upon your objectives. The platform itself can be deployed in a way that you like. So when you purchase Yellowfin, you get a license key and an installer. And you can choose to install Yellowfin in a number of ways. And I'm going to talk about this in a bit more detail later on. But you can deploy it, for example, on a Windows VM, on a Linux VM, on a container, and it runs alongside your application and will deliver the content into the application. So really flexible, highly secure, highly governed platform, and it's built for self-service BI. Oops. There we go. So what are the main advantages of Yellowfin? So as I mentioned, it's designed for that embedded use case. But one thing I touched upon was the data governance and security infrastructure. So you might have requirements where your clients, within a client organization, they need to have, that you might need to put row level security in place. So certain people can only see certain data. So maybe someone from the North American division may only see data from the North American division, and likewise for Asia. But you might also have a whole lot of requirements around content security. So who should see which content, which dashboard, which data points. And all of that is handled within the Yellowfin platform. I spoke about a flexible and scalable deployment, of course, about using clustering and horizontal and vertical scaling. And what I'm going to talk about in a lot of detail is the developer toolkit. So Yellowfin has a really, really robust set of APIs to help you embed, programmatically control Yellowfin, do all of your user onboarding and deployment of tenants and SSO and all of that kind of stuff, as well as incorporating external JS libraries, code mode, and a whole lot of different things. So it's a really rich developer toolkit that it has in the platform. There's also a whole lot of integrated AI features, including signals that will help understand patterns in your data and surface those to your end users. Okay, so you can choose the user experience when you use Yellowfin. So you can go ahead and use one of the native clients. So you can use, for example, the Yellowfin app to deploy the user experience. You can use an embedded web client, or you can use the Yellowfin client through a redirect. Okay, so you have the Yellowfin app that will go ahead and deploy or I should say, deliver the content as it's deployed. And of course, Yellowfin will pull directly from your data warehouse or your data sources and will deliver that data in real time to your end users. We're going to talk a little bit about some considerations around the data layer that you may not have considered, because sometimes there is a need to, or I should say often there's a need to structure your data in a way that will be performant and suitable for reporting purposes, because the structure of your transactional application is optimized for exactly what it's for, a transactional application, but maybe not for reporting workloads. So often we might need to create some helper tables or maybe a separate data repository to facilitate some of that. I mentioned the APIs before, but very briefly, we're going to look at two of these three APIs for various embedding scenarios. We're going to look at the JavaScript API, which allows you to embed Yellowfin content in your pages. There are two different ways that it can be done. I'm going to show you both. We're going to have a look at the embed links that can be very easily put into a web page. But I'm also going to show you the advanced API, which allows some more flexible control as well. I'm also going to show you the REST API, and that allows you to govern all of your user onboarding, your SSO, your programmatic control of Yellowfin as well. There's a huge amount, a huge library of calls that are available, and I'm going to take you through those. There's also the SOAP API, which is, I suppose, the initial way that we did all of the user onboarding. Generally, we're recommending clients use the REST API now instead, as it's the modern standard. I mentioned the rich developer toolkit, so there are a lot of different aspects to this, but one is being able to incorporate external JS charting libraries. So Yellowfin has about 55 different visualizations, but if you wanted something really specific to your use case, you can go ahead and add that into, incorporate a third-party charting library. So in this case, we're using Fusion Charts, which is actually an Idera product. But there's also other products, of course, like D3, Charts.js, Mapbox, etc., that you can incorporate into Yellowfin as well. Also, we have dashboard code mode, and that allows you to turbocharge your dashboards by modifying the HTML directly and also adding JavaScript and CSS to make them look exactly how you want them to look. The other thing that we have in Yellowfin is very, very, very comprehensive restyling and white labeling. So in Yellowfin, you're able to create images and CSS that will effectively override the images and CSS in Yellowfin. And the benefit of that is to make the overall user experience as transparent as possible and completely on brand with your source application. So really, the aim is to make Yellowfin look as close and tightly integrated to your platform as possible. And we'll talk briefly about how that's done a little bit later in the presentation. The other thing that I've briefly touched upon, but is really important to an embedded use case, a multi-client use case, is the multi-tenant capability of Yellowfin. Yellowfin has always been a multi-tenant application, and this allows you to logically separate your content between client orgs or tenants into, I suppose, virtual Yellowfin instances. You can have effectively a virtual Yellowfin instance per client. And there are some really great things that come with that. One is that you can build out a whole lot of standard content at the default level, and that can be accessed from each of the client orgs. So you got a central set of centrally administered content, one copy, that you can distribute to all your client orgs, and it will respect all the security that you've built in. So for example, if you've got a multi-database source system architecture where you have each client has their own database, Yellowfin will dynamically switch those data sources when the content is accessed from a given tenant. Likewise, if you've got a single monolithic database, Yellowfin will filter the database or the reports and dashboards based upon that organization ID. And this all happens dynamically. And the great thing here is that you can have a single set of centrally administered dashboards and reports that you keep adding to and keep improving. And so you're easily building a lot of value into the platform without having to copy and have a scenario where you have a divergence of content between organizations. And there's a lot more to it. That's really just at a high level. All right, so let's get into a demo. I'm going to quickly talk about what I'm going to do in this demo, and then we'll get stuck in. All right, so what are you going to see? You're going to see an example of a fully embedded Yellowfin environment. We're going to open up one that we've prepared earlier, so to speak. And then we're going to go ahead and look at building out an embedded Yellowfin experience from scratch. So we're going to look at the REST API to generate your refresh, access, and login tokens, and the login tokens are for single sign-on. We're going to look at how those single sign-on tokens can be consumed. And then we're going to use the JavaScript API. So we're going to use the simple API to embed a dashboard. We're then going to switch it to the advanced API and show you some of the flexibility. And I'm going to show you a dashboard presentation and story embedded in an example, very simple platform simulation. And then, time permitting, we'll have a look at some white labeling as well. We'll just talk about that at a very high level. So let's get started. All right, so let's have a look here. This is, this is a platform, a procurement platform called Lacurio, and this is not Yellowfin here. So this is an app that's been developed, a fictional app really, and we can go ahead and log in as Tom. So when we log in, it's going to authenticate us as normal and present the order management screen in the application. Now, all of these elements on the screen look like they're native parts of the application, and that's what we're shooting for. But one thing you'll notice is that we actually have a number of different charts further down the page, and all of these charts are actually provided by Yellowfin. So they look seamlessly part of the platform, but they're actually provided by Yellowfin. And this includes drill throughs. For example, I click on one of these reports here, or one of the chart elements. You can see that we've pulled out a list of all of the sales for the various categories within or SKUs within that product family. One thing that's really cool is I can go ahead and filter. So let's say I just want to look at whiskies. I can go ahead and do that, and you can see that not only the native parts of the application have been filtered, but also the Yellowfin artifacts are being filtered as well. So you can see here, I'm just looking at whiskies. So you can create this really engaging, really integrated user experience using the embedded Yellowfin capabilities. Just going down the page, you can see we have some signals that have been generated by AI that will give me an idea about various patterns in the data that have been identified by Yellowfin. So you can see these have been surfaced. You can see some of the correlated metrics, and all of this is automatically generated natural language as well. If I look at the analysis, all automatically generated natural language. You can see we have a list of orders here. So what I can do is click on an order, and you can see that's going to pop out a Yellowfin dashboard. You might remember that I was talking about some of the embedded user experience, and this is one of them where you can embed a dashboard within the user experience here. So adding a lot of value. Let's go ahead and switch to our category orders and go ahead and open that. And you can see here we have a waffle chart in the shape of a wine bottle. And this is one of those examples of using a JavaScript library. So this is not a native Yellowfin chart. All of these other charts are native, but this particular one is clearly a highly customized chart. And that's one we brought in via an external charting library. So all of these are embedded pieces of content, as I mentioned, but we can also switch to my reports here. And what you'll notice is, my dashboards, and you'll notice we've just switched to a different port. So this is actually redirected to Yellowfin, but you can see that Yellowfin is being completely white labeled to look like the source system. So as far as the user's concerned, the end user, it looks like the source system. They haven't moved away, but in fact, they have actually navigated to Yellowfin. And through this, users could go ahead and create their own report. So this is the self-service BI experience that I was talking about, and they could go ahead and add various details in to explore their data in more detail. And all of this looks like it's part of the platform, but in fact, it's been provided by Yellowfin. So what we're going to do in today's session, the hands-on session, is start looking at how we can create something like that using a demo application. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to get us logged into Yellowfin. And to do this, I'm going to bring up my Postman screen, which allows me to go ahead and access the REST API. So in order to authenticate to Yellowfin programmatically, we need to first create a refresh token. The refresh token is linked to the org that you want to authenticate to. So I'm going to go ahead and run this refresh tokens call, and you'll see here that it has returned a refresh token for me. We've got a little bit of JavaScript here which will save this security token so we can use it in future calls as a variable. And you can see we've got some headers in here as well. So I'm basically determining which version of the API I'm using, and we're passing through various the current timestamp, etc., and looking at the content type. So what we're going to do now is go to the access tokens. So we've generated a refresh token. We're going to now use that refresh token to generate an access token. And you can see in the authorization header, we're passing through that refresh token that I generated just a moment ago, and you can see it there. So I'm going to go ahead and execute that call, and that's going to return my access token, which lasts for 20 minutes. So this allows me to run subsequent API calls. So for example, I wanted to onboard users, I wanted to create a client or create a group, I could do that using the access token. And finally, if I want to sign a user in, we would use a login token. A login token is a single-use token, lasts for 5 minutes, but it can only be used once. It's like a ticket. And you can see here, I'm going to be passing through the access token that I created. And we're also going to be passing through the credentials of the user. But just to be clear, we don't normally need to pass the password in. There's a configuration parameter whereby I can just pass through the username without the password. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that through, run this call, and you can see it's returned my login token. So that's my login token. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to paste this into my browser. And I'm just going to show you how, one way at least, of how these login tokens can be consumed. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this little string. So I've got the Yellowfin server base URL. I've got login.i4, then login web service ID equals, and I've got my login token. So what you're going to see here is when I click this, it's going to bypass the Yellowfin login screen, and you can see it's going to go straight to the dashboard. So it's created a session and logged me in without having to put a username and password in. So when you're authenticating users, you don't need to, of course, get them to enter a second set of credentials. You'd never want to do that. So that's what you can do. All right. Okay, so we've authenticated, and you'll see here that on another tab, I have my Turbo Acme ERP. Not a great name, but it'll be great. It'll be fine for this demo. And I've got just a very simple application which has a number of different tabs. We've got finance, we've got analytics. And what we would like for this product is on the finance tab, we want to embed a dashboard. And on the analytics tab, we want to embed a self-service BI experience. And you can see at the moment, we don't have anything there. They just got placeholders. But what we're going to do is go ahead and embed some content in there. All right, so let's get started. We're going to go flip back to Yellowfin, and this is a dashboard here, this sales performance dashboard. What I want to do is I want to embed this particular dashboard in my application. So I'm going to go ahead and click share and embed, and I'm going to pick up this little piece of JavaScript here. Just a quick, I might just quickly cover that you can see we've got the base URL as HTTP localhost 8080. If you're going to be doing this yourself, just note that in the configuration pane here, you need to put the base URL here. So when you generate that snippet, it's going to have the correct port, for example, and the correct base URL. Okay. You also have the allowed origins, so you can put your cause. So if you're basically, this is a trust between Yellowfin and your application if it's on a separate machine. But let's go back to the dashboards and just have a look at that once again. We're going to pick up that embed link. There it is. and we're going to copy that. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go ahead and move over to my Visual Studio Code, and we're going to have a look at this particular application. So this is a very simple HTML page. You can see we've got a whole lot of CSS that's sort of embedded in the page, and then we just have a couple of divs and a couple of menus effectively. So what I'm going to do is under this heading Turbo Acme ERP Finance in this main content div, I'm going to go ahead and add in my little piece of JavaScript and go ahead and save that. Okay, I'm going to flick back to Yellowfin, and in fact, I'm going to flip back to my my application. Go ahead, reload that page, and voila, we have the same Yellowfin dashboard embedded in the page. Now, there are some things here that we might want to change. And we can do these with the embed link. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the code to use the advanced API, which is not the embed link, but the advanced API, which has a little bit more flexibility. And we're going to base our the work that we do on that. So let's go ahead and just replace that little piece of JavaScript, or the embed link with a little snippet from the JavaScript API. So you can see we're first of all loading the JavaScript API, and then we have some code that goes ahead and calls this load dashboard function. And what we're doing here is we're going to load a particular dashboard ID. We're going to choose where we deliver it, and then there are some additional pieces of configuration, or I should say options that we can generate as well. So let's go ahead and just check that our dashboard UUID is correct. So we're going to go back to Yellowfin, and we can actually get it from this URL here. I can go ahead and just copy that UUID. This is the unique identifier of the dashboard. And I'm going to go ahead and pop it just here. Okay. So I'm going to save that, and we're going to go ahead and reload the application. And there we go. We've loaded the same dashboard in this, but just in a different way now. And generally, the reason I'm showing the advanced API is that we find that our clients generally prefer to use it because it's a lot more flexible. So what we're going to do here is we're going to modify one of these parameters. So just switching back, you can see we have this this sort of toolbar. And I don't really want to show the toolbar because I want to make this look like a native part of the application. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to false and save that. Switch back to Yellowfin, and you can see now that we are loading the dashboard as well. But it looks now a lot more integrated into the platform. And of course, there are other changes we could make. We could, of course, remove that little shadow there. But of course, that's just a matter of styling. All right, so now let's look at a couple of other things. So I might want to, instead of the dashboard, I might want to load a presentation instead. So we'll go back to Yellowfin, and we're going to find a presentation. Presentations at Yellowfin are kind of like PowerPoint on steroids. So PowerPoint, where you are able to embed live charts. So it's really good to present information to clients. So this is the monthly sales deck. I think that's the one that we want to, that's the one that we want to embed. And what I can do here is I can go ahead and copy the UUID to clipboard, which is a really nifty way of doing it. Now, under the hood, a presentation and a dashboard are actually really the same thing. So we still use the same load dashboard function, but I'm going to show the toolbar this time. So let's switch back to our application and reload it. And you can see here we have our presentation nicely embedded in our platform, and you can see we can go ahead and scroll through all those slides. We have some clients that deliver presentations to thousands and thousands of people. We've got one client who is in the investment advisory space, and they are very, very heavy users of presentations. You can see you can also download to different formats. It's got Excel, but you can also download those to PDF with the appropriate permissions. Let's look at something else. We've got something called a story in Yellowfin as well. And a story looks like this. It's kind of like a blog. And it allows you to create a data story. So you can embed charts, live charts or snapshot charts, and create a whole lot of commentary to maybe write a post-mortem, etc. So I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and load a story in an application as well. So we're going to go ahead and just pick up a new piece of code, very, very similar to the other one. There we go. So instead of the load dashboard, we're now going to use the load story function. And we're going to get the story UUID. So let's make sure that it's correct. So I could just easily pick it up from here. There we go. Pop that in there. Save. And now we're going to go ahead and reload. Oh, let's have a look at what's gone wrong. Let's go back to our story and make sure we copied the right UUID. Okay, we'll switch back. All right, copied the wrong UUID. That'll do it. So let's go back to our application and we'll reload it. And there we go. So make sure you copy the correct UUID. It's always a good thing. And with the story, of course, we could remove the header as well if we wanted to. So that's how you go ahead and use the JavaScript API to embed content in your application. And so you can make this a lot more sophisticated. For example, you can add multiple reports and you can have centralized filters to control them all. And I suppose with your session management as well, with your login tokens, you might want to, for example, generate a login token and then use like an AJAX call to generate it in the background, for example, so that it can be shared across your anything that's embedded and anything else, any other Yellowfin content. So, because really the session, the login token, is attached to the browser via a cookie. Alrighty, so we've created our finance reporting, so our embedded reporting. What I'm going to do now is switch to the Analytics tab, and what I'd like to do is create a self-service BI experience. And I want to do that within my application. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and use an iframe in this situation. There are other techniques we can use, but I'm going to use an iframe. So let's go ahead and move to our Analytics HTML page, and I'm going to go ahead and just put this little bit of code here, which is going to load a Yellowfin within an iframe. So now I'm going to switch to I'm going to reload my Analytics tab. And there we go. We have Yellowfin that is loaded within an iframe. And of course, you can make it a bit better. I'm not a web developer. So you're going to make it look a lot better than me. But you can see here, we could go ahead and create a new report if we wanted to. And this is how your users could explore their own data and drag and drop. And really, this is all part of Yellowfin. but provided within your application. And you can see we can now switch backwards and forwards between the embedded dashboard on our finance page. Well, I should say the embedded story because we changed it, and the self-service BI experience. Of course, that splash screen would not come up with a full version license. There are a whole lot of other things that you can do. So when you create the login token, you can define that the header isn't shown, so it just shows everything below the header. There's a huge amount of flexibility in how you might craft that user experience. So the last thing I wanted to briefly talk about was just styling in Yellowfin. One of the great things about Yellowfin is that all of the different components of Yellowfin can be restyled to suit your color scheme. So for example, let me just go ahead and right-click on this blue header bar here. I'm going to go ahead and inspect that. And let's have a look at some of the CSS in here. Make this a little bit bigger. Just drag that across, give us a bit more real estate. There we go. All right, so we've got our styles. Now, you'll see that we've got all these root styles at the bottom of the page here. Now, one of the really easy ways to restyle is you can go ahead and make changes to these root styles. There we go. I'm just going to make some horrendous colors just to prove a point here. So sorry to all our graphic design friends who are cringing at what I'm showing you here. But you can see here that now we've had multiple changes that have been made off the back of changing just a couple of these root styles, and these root styles inherit through the classes. Now, the way to do this is really it's very, very easy. All you need to do is copy the changes to the classes, and we can go ahead and put those in a file on the Yellowfin server, and Yellowfin will look at any of the files in that particular directory. It's called the custom CSS directory, and any of those classes and elements will take precedence over the root classes. Or the classes that are built into Yellowfin natively. One of the really great things about this is you can also style per client org. So it's really, really flexible, really, really extensible, and you can craft it exactly how you like. All right, so we're a little bit over time, so we're probably going to have 10 minutes for questions, but what I'm going to do is just finish off with a couple of quick slides. So just to recap, so we looked at, during the demo, the Big Fish or Lecurio fully embedded Yellowfin environment, and you could see what that would look like as a sort of a finished product. Then we looked at the REST API and how we used a refresh token, access token, and a login token to create a session for our user, so for SSO. And I made a point that that can be done in the background via an AJAX call. The login token can be consumed in a number of ways, but that creates a session in the browser. And then from there, you can use the JS API, either the simple or advanced JS API, to embed individual objects in your application. But you can also embed the Yellowfin UI as well into the application. We looked at that self-service BI experience that we delivered through an iframe. But noting that there are other options over and above iframes to do that as well. And we also very briefly spoke about the white labeling in Yellowfin. So briefly, some considerations for embedded BI. It's really important to think about what your vision is for analytics in your product. What kind of user experience, analytical user experience, do you want to provide for your customers? And what do you want to provide today? What do you want to provide next month, in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months' time? It's really important to think about that long term so that you can organize not only your technical architecture, but also your commercialization and monetization into the future. Because you don't want to monetize it in one way and then have to kind of change that necessarily down the track. Some of that can be difficult. So a vision is really important, and it's one thing that we can help you with. We work with our clients on that analytics vision, on how to monetize analytics and how to create a really great user experience for our clients. The other thing is about getting your data ready. I briefly touched upon this, but you might have a transactional database, and that may be appropriate for reporting, but it may not be. So there's definitely some considerations around looking at what your analytical load will be and whether you might need some helper tables or maybe a separate data lake or data warehouse to support your analytics environment, because you want to make sure that it performs nicely for your end users and is easy to use as well. It's really important that especially the self-service BI experience is easy and straightforward for your non-technical users to use. And if you have complicated data structures, some of those can make it difficult if clients are getting duplicates and they don't really know why. There are a whole lot of really great products to automate your ELT or your data integration. One of those is in the Idera family called Warescape, which is a metadata-driven ETL tool that allows you to move data from one point to another and create some beautiful star schema type dimensional models. So getting started with Yellowfin. How do you install and deploy Yellowfin? Well, there are a number of different options. I'm going to talk about three of them. One is a self-installation where you install Yellowfin on a virtual machine or your local PC, and that involves, first of all, getting a free trial license, and I'm going to share the slides. You'll get this. You can use this link, and then you need, of course, a Windows or Linux machine. You need to install the JRE-FX. I recommend 11, JRE-11 FX. Needs to be FX. So you can go to, if you type in Zulu Java download, that'll get you to the OpenJDK or JRE. You also need a database as well. Now, you can use the inbuilt database for a sandbox, so you don't need to actually have a separate database if you use what's called the HSQL database, and that's really just for evaluation purposes. For production, you would have you usually use something like Postgres, and then you would go ahead and install Yellowfin, and I'm going to give you a link in a couple of slides to do that. Option 2 is an AWS image. So if you log into AWS, you'll see that there is an image that you can deploy, which includes a 12-month 3-user license. That deploys to a Linux VM with a Postgres database. And that's probably the easiest way to get started using Yellowfin. The other option is a Docker deployment, so you can pull and run the Docker image. I would recommend the all-in-one image, which this is for a sandbox environment, which includes that HSQL database, and that means you don't need a separate image, and you need to request a trial license, and then you can go ahead and use that trial or developer license when you're initializing the image. Here are a whole stack of useful resources that will help you with some of the things I was just speaking about. The Yellowfin wiki is fantastic. You've got the REST API reference for all of the endpoints. Got the developer toolkit, which gives you all the details around the JS API and the SOAP API and some of the other things. You've got the evaluation guide, which is really great to look at all of the various features in Yellowfin and the value you can build out for customers. Really good if you're getting a business case together for your senior stakeholders. Got a whole lot of training references. Yellowfin University is amazingly good for self-service training, and we actually are in the process of making it even better. We also have some getting started content for developers. That's for using the REST API, and also a tutorial for the report writers, which is really great as well. We also have some white papers that I'd highly recommend, especially this info doc for developers about why and how to embed Yellowfin, and getting your data ready for analytics, which focuses on that data piece I was just talking about. Here are some links to the Yellowfin portal, requesting a dev license and the AWS image. And also we've got some installation videos on Windows, Linux, and Docker, so feel free to have a look at those. I'd highly recommend you look at those before starting your deployment of Yellowfin. So just a little bit before we finish about Minera. So as I mentioned, we are a Yellowfin-focused full-service analytics consulting company. We've got consultants spread out across North America, Australia, Asia, and we have a huge amount of experience in Yellowfin. So please do get in touch with us if you would like to get some assistance with getting Yellowfin deployed, or have any questions about anything Yellowfin. We also get heavily involved in data integration and data engineering as well, especially in that ISV use case where you have multiple customers. So we've built out a lot of different artifacts that allow you to deploy multiple data warehouses en masse when you have multiple clients' source systems. So we get heavily involved in that data integration space, as well as advanced analytics as well. So AI and large language models, machine learning, and data science. So feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions. You've got my email address there and my LinkedIn, so feel free to connect. And that's our website as well. So thank you very much for your time. And now I'm going to leave a little bit of time for questions. So this is now the time to ask some questions, and I encourage you to ask anything that maybe wasn't clear during the presentation.
So there's a little pause at the end of the video there, and we're all going, yeah, when's it stopping? When's it stopping? That was a great presentation. And we do have Edgar live in the studio. Let's see, is Martha going to click it, or am I going to click it? Ready? I will do it because Martha's not done it. See, sometimes what happens is if we both click it at the same time, Edgar, you will zoom in and out like you've gone crazy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I appreciate you getting up so early. I know you said you're used to it, and we had a brief talk backstage about this, but I don't care how used to it you are, it still kills you when you get up at 5 a.m. So appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so yeah, so I want to just make sure that we get a couple of... You actually work for Minera, which is that company, that's right, yeah?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then the company that we're actually, the product that we're talking about is Yellowfin. So if they want to hear more about Edgar, then go to Minera. And if they want to know more about the product, go to Yellowfin BI. And of course, as ever, our main man, Patrick, is making sure the links are down at the bottom as well. So there's no escaping us. In fact, what I'll do, I'll put the QR code for Minera up the top. Hang on 1 second. There you go. So a very interesting presentation. I did do one a while ago myself with Yellowfin. I can't remember who was on it. It might have been, I don't think it was you. Were you on it?
Don't think it was me. Yeah.
No, okay. It was some other Australian. I can't remember who it was. Yeah. Actually, you know what? It might have been Stephen Bull from Embarcadero. But anyway,
okay,
the point is, what we did was we actually showed. We didn't go in depth in the product like you did. You did a very good job of sort of showing everything. But I showed a Delphi app that can actually embed Yellowfin in it. So I kind of just showed a brief overview of, oh look, here's some cool graphs and stuff like that from Yellowfin, and then I had the Delphi app with it embedded, and that used the API. So you know, it's pretty good. I didn't write it. It was actually Stephen Ball, and in fact, if I point to that now, if people want to try it out in Delphi, if they go to Yellowfin BI and download a trial, I think you can even get a developer trial. And then if you scan that and go to the GitHub repo, you can download the Delphi version, and it's very easy to get it working. That app for the Delphi developers who are watching is VCL and FMX. I know that I mean absolutely nothing to you, Edgar, but all the people watching know that they'll understand. It's good. So if I was to say to you, because there are some other systems out there that do BI, people have mentioned it and things like that. What is it that Minera sees in Yellowfin that maybe they would use rather than some alternatives? Is there some kind of like gotcha thing where you're like, yeah, this is the feature?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so Ian, I actually started off as a Yellowfin customer. So it was the director of analytics at a large multinational HR software vendor, and we embedded Yellowfin within our platform. And the platform was primarily aimed at, or is primarily aimed at, federal government in various countries, US, Australia, etc. And one of the things that was really important to us was security, especially in that federal governance space, security and governance. And I touched on in the presentation the multi-tenant capability of Yellowfin. And it doesn't operate in isolation. There's a whole lot of other security features and governance features that fit into that piece. Especially around centralized metadata layer and centralized administration of all those security rules. And so come to us with challenges around governing row-level security and various niche security requirements that, to be frank, with other vendors, they just haven't been able to. And a lot of failed start with another vendor when they just weren't able to achieve the security model that they needed, and it was a lot of these things are Yellowfin's always had those security, really advanced, flexible, deep security features available in the platform. So I'd call that as a really big part of it, and the multi-tenancy is really core to that. So, for example, we in that federal government space, there are often requirements to not having single monolithic databases with shared data. It needs to be separated to different database platforms. We have a client, for example, I think it's maybe Redshift. I can't quite remember. So Yellowfin actually allows the dynamic switching of those databases. That is, as I said, a non-negotiable for a lot of government clients. So I would definitely call out a lot of those things. And as I mentioned before, as an embedded solution from the ground up, a lot of the other tools have been kind of retrofitted, especially retrofitted one for web. Yellowfin's always been a web-based product, so it's never needed to be sort of retrofitted. To be retrofitted to that multi-tenant embedded use case. It's always been part of the platform, and for that reason, it's baked into its core.
Yeah, your audio is breaking up a little bit, but it's okay. We heard what you said. It was only on the last couple of syllables of a word, so that's always excellent.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's fine. It's not a problem. And I have to say, when I tried out Yellowfin, and I remember when we did the demo, the weirdest thing happened. We had a customer who, or a viewer that was watching, and it was in this kind of scenario as well. And they exactly had that problem. Funny you should mention it, but it was, they wanted security and they wanted granularity. They wanted to be able to say, these people can see this, but those people can't. And it needed to be, not just like a kind of Mickey Mouse bolted on security and user view control, but it had to be something very granular. And the person that was watching actually kept asking questions, which was good because we like people asking questions. And I understand they ended up going for a trial as well. So that was a successful webinar because they're like, yeah, okay, we'll talk later and have a trial. So it does, it does work. I like the product. I mean, it's not it's not really suitable for small businesses. If you're a mum and pop shop, as they would call in the United States, or a small coffee shop in England or something like that, this is not your tool. This is not something for you. You're going to want to use an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, because that's the kind of data you're looking at. But if you are a medium-sized business, or at least a sufficiently complex business, or one that has some reporting requirements that are actually relatively rigid, like financial reporting requirements. Even if you're a small business, that can actually be the case if you're in certain markets like military or banking or something like that. Then Yellowfin is the tool for that kind of thing, because it is built for it. And I'm sure Monero would work out a kind of appropriate budget for them, put it that way.
Yeah, look, you're spot on there, Ian. Really, Yellowfin generally operates in two spaces. One is the software vendor space. So we work with a lot of smaller software vendors that have that are growing. I suppose embedded analytics. And we also work with I would say to very large organizations on the enterprise space. And we've done some really interesting stuff. There are some well-known companies that you would all recognize that, for example, have Yellowfin reports embedded in things like, end client, I suppose, shopfront stuff and things like value. But yeah, you're right. We don't generally sort of play sort of a tiny space. If you're a small business looking to do internal reporting for 10 people,
it's like someone selling a BMW. If you're going to just use it to go backwards and forwards to the shop every day, you've spent an awful lot of money on a very expensive car that can do the same things as a much cheaper vehicle. And that's the case. That if all you ever do is use your BMW to go and get your groceries, well, good luck to you, and buy me something nice, because you've got too much money. That's my attitude. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, look, I appreciate you staying up. It was a great presentation, and we were talking behind the scenes about various things, and the strength of these webinars as well. Although we get quite a few people live, it's more actually in the individual sessions that get chopped up and reused and replayed. And this is one that I think is actually very interesting for certain types of our customers as well. Obviously, Yellowfin is an idea company, so we have that kind of daddy says play nicely kind of attitude. But actually, I get on very well with the Yellowfin guys and girls as well. I shouldn't say guys and girls. That's very condescending and misogynistic of me. That's the word I'm looking for. The team at Yellowfin, I get on very well with them.
Team's the right word. Yeah. No, it's a pleasure.
And it's good to talk to you as well, Edgar. I really appreciate you getting up a little bit earlier than normal and putting some effort in. But thanks a lot for that.
Very welcome. Yeah, no, and I know you've put a huge amount of effort into putting this a couple of weeks together. It's been awesome. So thanks for having us, Ian. And just to everyone, please feel free to reach out and get in touch and connect. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And we pass on business inquiries and things like that anyway. But good job. All right. Well, thanks a lot then. I'm going to let you go and probably have a nap, I think, or something like that. Probably not, though. I'd imagine it's breakfast. I said to Edgar the other day, because Edgar is in Australia, I said, you're coming to me from the future, because isn't it Friday for you now? Is that right?
It is 7.
Yeah, Friday. It's very cool.
Friday. It's Friday. That's right. Yep. Yeah. It's almost the weekend for me, so I'm a little bit closer.
Very, very strange. This happens to me all the time. I go and talk to the Australian Delphi user group, and it's tomorrow whenever I talk to them. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot then, Edgar. I'll talk to you another time.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.